Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk. And my name is Wale Anyataye. And today I'm going to be talking to you about signs it is time for you to leave your job. Oh yeah, I know it sounds crazy. Me telling you to leave your job or it's time for you to leave your job. Especially when you have like 3 kids and a lot of bills to pay. So now you're thinking, why do I want you to leave your job? That sounds crazy. You would rather deal with the pains, the headache, and the nightmares and the anxiety that the job brings to you rather than for you to think of quitting. It's understandable. As an adult, that is what adulthood is all about. It's all about responsibilities. And I get that. But you shouldn't have to wait until the ship is sinking, until you're losing yourself mentally before you think it's time for you to either start looking for a new job or just walk away. Yeah, I know like walking away sounds crazy, especially if you're the only one who's responsible for your bills and you're responsible for your responsibilities. So walking away doesn't really sound too much of a great option right here. But at the same time, you don't have to wait till you lose yourself before you start applying for a new job and making sure that you ask all the right questions. And if you're new to this podcast, you can catch on the last episode where I discussed about some of the critical questions you need to ask before you accept a job offer. So this, to avoid you being in this very particular position, those are some of the questions you should ask. But let's focus on this very particular episode. So right now I'm going to be talking to you about 6 critical things you need to consider. And when you start seeing those signs, it's time for you to pack your bag like a pilgrimage and move on. The first one is you often feel stressed. Oh, every time like you're tired. You're mentally tired, you're physically exhausted. And you, at the end of each day job, you're too tired to even be useful to yourself. Not even we're talking about being useful to the people around you. Yeah, I don't like, especially like as a male figure or probably as a single mom, you're going to feel like, hey, so long as the bills are paid, the electricity is on, there's food on the table, these kids can forget about having a personal time with me. But what's the essence of working so much, paying all these bills and trying to make sure like everyone around you is happy and you're the miserable one? The questions you ask yourself is, does it really worth it? I'm going to leave you to answer that very particular one. That takes me to the second thing you have to consider. And that is you no longer believe in the organization culture as you used to. You know, a lot of us, when we get into a new company, to a new job, we're so excited that we can't even see the little things that we should have paid attention to. Those little signs, the handwriting on the wall. We're so excited to get a job. We believe in the organization culture. We believe in what it stands for. We believe in what the program stands for. And then you now start finding yourself in a position where you start questioning everything the organization stands for. You no longer believe in it. You don't have that inner drive as you used to. Maybe it's time for you to start looking somewhere else. That brings me to the third point. And the third point is, are you constantly watching the clock? Okay, 5 more minutes to 5 and I'm out of here. Nobody can tell me nothing. Yeah, I understand, especially if you're salary. You know, like you working a minute over your regular hour, you're not going to get paid. Yeah, I get that. You know, but if you find yourself in a position where you know that all you're just doing right now is just burning through the clock. The moment it's 5 o'clock and you're like, oof, thank God I survived today. Or you know those feelings on Sunday night you start having panic attack because Monday is few hours away. And the truth is this though, no matter how much you love your job, some of us still find ourselves in that position where you're like, oh my God, the weekend flew by so quick and it's Monday. But what gives you the strength to face the new week is because you love what you do. You feel like you're in the right place. So it's not going to be as stressful, as tough as it should be for someone else who is in an organization where they don't really believe in what they do anymore. So the moment you start doing the job because you just need a check or you're just constantly running down the clock, it's time for you to start looking somewhere else. You don't want to burn through life and then when in your 60s and 70s after you've retired and you start asking yourself the questions of what did I even really do with my life? So you might want to check that. And that brings me to the fourth one. Your skill set doesn't match your professional interest anymore. You've outgrown the position. You have a lot of skill set that you know that definitely if you take this somewhere else, oh my goodness, it's going to be a square peg in a square hole and it's going to be a perfect relationship. You have all these skill sets and you feel like you're constantly underutilized and underappreciated and undervalued. It is time for you to start looking somewhere else. And my fifth point, you've outgrown the role. It's an extension of the fourth point. You feel like you've outgrown the role. There's no crime about that. There are times where after being at an organization for like 3-4 years in the same position, you've learned everything that needed to be learned. You've done everything that needed to be done. You've left no stone unturned. You've achieved everything that practically needed to be achieved in that position. But if you're comfortable with your known and you're okay where you are, and that's perfectly okay. It's not everybody's interested in starting all over, especially after spending 10 years in a particular organization, a particular position. Change can be scary, but change can also be interesting. And my bonus point on this episode, your compensation doesn't add up. If the number doesn't add up, the zeros doesn't add up, you feel like you overworked and underpaid, it's time to leave and move on to something else. Thank you for listening, and my name is Wale Anyantoye.